Hey guys and girls, Joshy here, BJonGameDay, back for another week. You have Brent Hampden, you've got Josh King, the one, the only, the better than the Storm player. And in the background, we got Bogan. Lads, how are we? Round 3 over and done with. We've got Teamless Tuesday, week 4. Boys, how do we go in the third round?
Evening, King. Evening, Bogan. Yeah, look, not bad for me this week. Kingy 1184, a bit of a bounce back. Best score of the year by far. I think still probably left a few points out there, but I'm not going to complain with that. Jumped up just over 30k spots into the top 15k, which is a bit more respectable. Still plenty of work to do, but I'll take that given how the year has started, mate. I'll take it. Bogan, how are we? King, how'd you go?
Mate, yeah, it's a good question. What did I score? 1150 something. 1159. There we go. On the screen now. 1159, mate. Similar to yourself, mate. I left a few out there. I think Penasini, Bullimore, just a few guys that sort of scored sub-20s or around that 20 mark. I think you could probably throw Max King in there, but everyone's got him, Like, I think a lot of people sort of played him as well based on the week before. So, mate, definitely some hard luck stories. But, yeah, I haven't lost touch with the leaders. I think 450 points behind after week 3. I think I was 420 points behind after week 1. So if we can hold that consistency, maybe sort of crack a pod here or there to catch up a little bit more, it would be nice, mate. Up to around 12,000, I think, in overall ranking. So I think we're only separated by about 5 points overall, mate. And Bogan's given us both a hiding so far, I think. Bogs, what did you score?
I was in between you this week. I got 1170 something. 1176 or something like that. So
and mate, a big brag from the start of the week, mate. Captaining Hines, no vice, no loop, no bullshit like that, mate. You just had the straight up C on him Thursday night last week.
Yeah. I was actually going to start a thing, the Thursday night captain challenge, but then I saw the game this Thursday night and went, nah, fuck that shit.
Mate, look, it's one game I do avoid. I just think that Thursday night game, or in the past what's been the Friday night game, it's one that I've sort of avoided just to see how the week pans out. Even I've avoided putting the VC in it. That sort of blew back on me last week with a lot of other lads in the leagues, obviously VCing Hines, and he played accordingly. Cronulla were absolutely brilliant against the Dragons, got the job done well and truly in what was pretty torrential conditions. They played really well, and I think that's probably a sign of what's to come for the Sharkies this season. Hampton, mate, captain last week. Who'd you have?
I had Lil Paps against Para. So, yeah, I think I was opposite to Bogan. I brought in Hines this week. I bit the bullet. I actually upgraded Schneider to Hines. It was one of my trades, so it was a pretty big upgrade. And I just thought, I had to get Hines in. Otherwise, I was playing catch-up all year.
So that was this week?
Yeah, that was the week just gone. Had the VC on him and then turned on the coverage and saw that torrential rain, as you mentioned, and it just put me off. I thought, he might be able to score around that 100, but he can't go 120 plus. And as it turned out, he went 120 plus, and he looked good. Everything was off him, and yeah, the Sharks just in general, I thought looked very good. So I made it up with Paps in the end. Some points there, I'll take it, but yeah, I won't complain about it, mate. You?
Yeah, mate. Look, probably the other weakness of my team this week, I had Payne Haas as my captain. 3 huge trades for me last week. I can't complain about the trades. It definitely made me a little bit short on the reserves, though, with who I had to play. But bringing in last week, Nico, Munster, and myself, the legendary Josh King, mate, I think, yeah, they combined for about 320 points all up between them. So for 3 players, very happy with that. But, yeah, it led me to, with Harry Grant out, I sort of kept him in. It led me to playing some very, very shoddy players last week. But, mate, yeah, still green arrows, which is good. Hopefully this week we can build on that as well. So,
well, mate, big trades. Big trades up. Just quickly, King, before we get started, got this little chili.
Oh.
This little thing here. So
talk us through this, mate. Talk us through, for the new fans at home, what the stupid shit is that we do.
Well, yeah, as loyal supporters of our clubs as we are, Kingy, sometimes we just, wear our hearts on our sleeves. And when someone throws out the gauntlet like Shano did last week and challenges challenges me to a bet between our teams. Shano, obviously, long-time BJ man. He's thrown it out to the gauntlet. It says Penrith versus Newey. The loser eats something or will do something. And as it was a chili. So honouring it here, King. The hottest chili I could find in Coles.
Mate, the next time it's got to be a Carolina Reaper.
I'll tell you what, Mitch Barnett, this one's on you, because before that bloody incident, I thought we were looking pretty good, and to play 50 to 60 minutes a man down against Penrith, I thought we were pretty respectable and made a bit of a shake of it. But anyway,
so he's got 6 weeks and a chili on his head.
Yeah, if I had Twitter, I'd be tweeting him. I'll have to get in touch with him. But anyway, I don't do amazing with hot. I don't mind a little bit of spice, but this will probably do a fair number on me. So Shano, this one's for you, mate. And all you boys out there, enjoy this one, you motherfuckers. I'll down the whole thing, eh?
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, while Hampton is doing this, guys, we have a long history with the BJonGameDay show. Anyone who is joining it, go back to Hampton, mate, so we can see this reaction. We've got to see that pale Canberra face get a little bit of colour into it, I guess. Guys, we've got a long history of just challenges, things here and there, eating hot chips, hot chilies, all these different kinds of things. So I have got the one chip challenge going on with Tanaz as well, mate. I don't know if he's beat me in a round yet, but I'm sure he probably has with the way the scores have been. Oh. So I'll be ordering one of those for this season as well.
You got the milk. You got the milk there, Breno?
No.
It's a Woolworths chili, mate. It's a Coles chili. You don't need milk for that.
Mate, the bloke in the deli said that's hotter than a Reaper.
Oh, yeah, good on him. Good on him. Mate, you're softer than Penny. What the fuck? Jesus.
Oh, it's gone. Let's see how this plays out.
There's the chili challenge. Shano. But here's Shano. How's his against the rating wooden spooners from like 10 out of the last 14 years? Turn it up, Shano. But anyway, Bogan, we move on to game one last week on a Thursday night. And as we mentioned, was Cronulla over the drag. How you going, mate?
It's all right. It's just fucking mid-odd, eh?
And Nico Hines, mate, absolutely huge. 115 pre-updates, updated to 124. Plenty of people looped. Plenty of people had captain. Very well done to all those people. Mate, from a Supercoach point of view, Lomax went all right for the Dragons. But other than that, Benny Hunt... I can't even read this. Can anyone actually read this when Bogan puts this shit on the screen?
Oh, I can't see it. I can't.
You can't see it because you keep rubbing your fucking eyes. All right. Ikubalu, well, he's out this week. Katoa Ramian. Yeah, not too much to go on here other than Nico having an absolute blinder. He's got the kicking duties. Cronulla look good. I can just see this going on and on all season long. At the end of the season, Cleary and Nico Hines will be your two halves, that's for sure.
I think Cronulla are top 4 material, King, from what I've seen.
Look, I wasn't too sure, mate. The first week against the Raiders, we definitely started slow, mate, and I think that was just that combination. I thought it would take a little bit longer than this as well, so I think we do have improvement in us. The Sharkies are definitely looking good across the park. Ramian looks brilliant in defence and attack, mate. He's just got to find that little bit more. There's something that's missing from his game, but he could definitely put himself up there as one of the best centers in the game. And, mate, the forwards are just doing their job. You know, even fucking Andrew Fed coming off the bench, he got that late junk sin bin, which sort of took a few points off him. I know a few lads were a little bit dirty that they copped that AE for him, about 10 points less than he was headed for. But, yeah, mate, the Sharkies do look good. Who we got next, folks? Can you talk, Campton?
Yeah, the tongue's just fucking spicy at the moment. All
right, Friday night game we had.
This was a shit show, this game.
Oh, mate, 16-12, the Warriors getting over the Tigers. A lot of controversy out of this one with the... well, it wasn't even a no try, really, was it? It was just not a try at all. There was no disallowed. There was no go to the bunker. There was no review. It was simply a fuck up by the NRL. And just what we've come to sort of hate about this game, we've got so many things that go through cameras, so many cameras all around the ground, and they miss this one. You know, this is a mistake that just shouldn't be made. So any Lucy Leilua owners like myself, he did down date as well, I think about 10 points. So it was a little bit of a tough one to swallow, but made some good performances here, solid performances again from your Josh Currans and things like that, mate. But both of these teams really not affecting the Supercoach list too much this part of the season.
No, it was interesting. It's funny, right? Like, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. The ref makes a call on field, gets it completely wrong. We're seeing the bunker intervene on 90% of things, and then for some reason they can't intervene on a genuine try. Yep. I don't understand it, but how the Tigers didn't win this game, King, is beyond me.
Yeah.
The Warriors had a man binned with 10 to go, and they were pretty much just parked down the Warriors' end for the last 10 minutes of the game, and they just couldn't get the job done. So I don't know where that leaves the Tigers. I don't know where it leaves Madge, to be honest, King. I don't think that was a good loss for them, obviously, especially considering the sin bin towards the end of the game. They just couldn't get the job done. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens out there.
Well, the list is back in the chat, mate. Bogan from week 1. Was it week 1?
I believe so. I just modded him.
Yes. You got a wrench, son. You got a wrench. Mate, yeah, look, obviously disappointed for the Tigers, but that is their season so far. They are the only team in the comp without a victory next to their name, and it's hard to see where it's going to come from soon. I can't believe you're still struggling. Look at you. He's got hives.
Oh, I'm coming good now.
Scratching away. Jesus. Mate, Ollie Gildart, the English import. Bit of form there. He's shown a bit of talent. I actually don't mind this guy now that I've sort of seen him through the trials, and now I've had him since round 1. I just thought there was a bit of something there, and 60 points on the weekend was nice.
He's got a bit of toe, King. He gets a bit of space. He's got a bit of pace about him. I thought he ended up with maybe, watching the game, I thought he ended up with maybe 4 or 5 line breaks, but he only ended up getting credited with 2 in the end, I think. And but yeah, he's made a bit of money and another low break even. So
yep.
I don't know what his base is like, but yeah, he definitely made a bit of made some meters once he got into a bit of space. Base not too bad either, really, for a cheap centre. So
mate, yeah, really happy I got rid of AFB last week. Yeah, and upgrading him, downgrading him to myself, Joshy King. Went from 41 points there AFB up to 85 for Kingy, so he's done well. Obviously, a lot of talk around that game. We'll get to that later in the episode, but him holding his spot at 13, and we'll just sort of see how Belly starts this next week with who starts. She's going back to the bench.
I think with big AFB, big man obviously doesn't play the big minutes, so his base isn't quite there. He's still getting those offloads and those tackle busts and stuff. It might take him a few weeks to get that match fitness. So, but he was never going to be a guy that played much more than 60 minutes sort of thing generally. So,
and mate, I think he's proven that in the past, and a lot of these sort of front rowers have, where they'll pick up form for 3 or 4 weeks and then that's about it. That's when you sort of want to get on them is when they start. But season-long holders, really, the only one in your front row ranks that you're looking at there is Payne Haas. So, yeah. Second game on the Friday night there, Bogues. And, mate, look, Hampton, I didn't catch this game. I was busy, but I was a bit surprised. I was out to dinner, actually, so I didn't get any commentary, and I just sort of had it on the background, and I saw 6-0 and then 10-0, and then, mate, every time the Roosters did something, the Bunnies just punished them. So, Cameron Murray, wow. I don't think he's been talked about too much this season, mate, to be fair.
Well, it's funny, right? There probably would have been a whole heap of people, maybe not a whole heap, but there would have been a few that probably jumped off him because he didn't start the season as well as people probably might have thought. But, yeah big minutes. Obviously, he had his hand in a couple of tries and scored one himself. Massive. So well done to anyone that held him. I think people probably would have been hard pressed bringing him in, but he actually ended up increasing in price as a result of that. So he was massive. And I just think in general the Rabbits just Yeah, they showed up and were just a little bit hungry in this rivalry. The Chooks never really got going. Latrell looked good. Cody Walker looked a whole lot better. They were just hitting a bit harder and just wanted a bit more from what I watched. So, yeah, some disappointing scores across the board there generally from the Chooks players. Joe Manu, Tupu top scored. But, yeah, Jimmy Tedesco, Tupanua from myself, Sammy Walker, all pretty quiet.
Because I thought Tedesco was sort of around maybe mid-70s.
Yeah, he was. I think he finished on around 80 odd and then down to 64-ish. I think it was 60. Yeah, 64 he ended up finishing on. And the other one that was obviously quite notable with this one that a lot of people are interested in was Angus Crichton, mate, obviously relegated to the bench for this game by Robbo. And this is something Robbo's done in the past. Whether he's not happy with what he's seeing out there from some other guys in the middle or Angus himself, I'm not sure. But it's nothing new. He has done it. I think, a couple of times to Angus, and it generally gets him going. So whether it continues or not, I'm not sure. I don't even know where he's been named this week, actually. Yep. I don't know if he's plugged him back in there after that effort last week. But, yeah, I think it's just sort of try and put a bit of fire under him and get him going, I think. But, yeah, pretty poor score from him, and he could be pretty cheap in a couple of weeks now, King.
Mate, and I think, look, obviously there's a lot of Roosters players that have been effective for Supercoach over the years, and especially in the last couple of years with, premierships and things like that. But this is probably what we can see when they do have an off game. I don't think it can scare you away from anyone. I think Tedesco, there's definitely form there to be had. Manu looks solid, but again, it's just finding that consistent role for him in a team. But anyone who's on the likes of sort of Keary and Crichton and Walker, Tupanua as well, mate, you got Toops. I think there's just sort of a hole. Like, you've just got to take it as it's one bad week. It does hurt because, you feel like you're sort of giving up 40, 50, 60 points on the field. But, again, you've sort of picked these guys for a reason. They're in one of the best teams in the comp. When they put it together, they're going to put 40 or 50 points on most teams. They've been absolutely outclassed last week, and they still managed to cross for 3 tries. So, I think it can get better.
Oh, and I think, obviously, Cowboys looked pretty good last week, but their draw does open up a little bit now with the Cows, Brisbane, Warriors, Dragons, Bulldogs, Titans. So, a good 6 weeks coming up, and this will sort of be where you've held them for a reason, and this next 6 weeks will be big. I think, as I said on Angus, though, King, he's got 100. He dropped for nearly 50k. He's only about 600k now, and he's faced with 114 break even. So if we see another performance or another effort from him like he did on the weekend, we could be looking at Angus sub 550, possibly even closer to 500 in the next couple of weeks, which is massive.
It's a good thing to point out is that as much as people are looking for guys who are going to make cash, as much as people are looking for people who are in form and scoring points, you've got to look at these guys who are proven Supercoach guns that maybe have just started off slow, are going to drop that cash, and you've got to get them in at the right time. A lot of people are sort of talking about Katoni Staggs and how poor he's been at the Broncos and things like that. All I see is just potential to make money. I'm sort of thinking, great, this is gold. Because over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I can just see Brisbane sort of developing that right-hand side. Sort of Cobbo is the same, really. I think they can both benefit from it. So, if you're on these guys, don't be too quick to get off. But at the same stage, if you haven't got him yet, definitely be looking at the next couple of weeks for the likes of Crichton, because he's too classy a player to stay on the bench for too much longer.
Agreed, buddy.
Saturday afternoon game, Bogues, and we had your boys, Hampton. This was what caused the chilli. Panthers getting up 38-20 over the Knights. Mate, absolute cracking game. And even with, obviously, Barney doing the stupid thing at the end of that first half or towards the end of then, mate, the Knights were right in it up to the death. I think Panthers scored 2 converted tries in the last sort of 4 minutes. Mate, when you guys scored with just under 10 minutes to go and got it back to 6-point deficit, I thought they were a chance. But, the Panthers just showed they know how to finish the games off, and you definitely missed that sort of one player or, that extra player that the Panthers had over you.
Yeah, 100%. I think the scoreline probably doesn't reflect how the game played out, and anyone that watched the game would probably agree. But, obviously most notably Barney with the elbow to the face of Chris Smith. Judiciary's come out tonight and he's copped 6 weeks, which I was a little bit surprised. I sort of thought maybe 6 to 8, but I expected the Judiciary to hit him a lot harder than that. I thought maybe he'll get 10 or 12, but
I didn't mind the 6. I didn't mind the 6 because as much as there was, it was blatant. We've all seen the video. We all know what it was. I just thought it could have been worse. You know what I mean? Like, if he really wanted to have a fucking go at the bloke, he would have actually swung the arm as well. I think he just sort of held it up there, and to me, it was a bit more of a love tap with the elbow. Like, if I was going to knock someone out, mate, they'd be out cold, and not just a fucking love tap to the neck. So, I think 6 weeks is probably about right, maybe 8 weeks. But if you had gone any harder, 12 weeks would have been on the cards.
I won't defend it. It's no good, and for a bloke that's earning 500, 600, $700K a year, that sort of shit's just ridiculous. And I even said, the point where these guys should be getting their salaries prorated if they're going to be getting suspended for foul play and stuff like that. But not defending it. But you look at the incident from Nelson over the weekend, just the intent and where he's hit the bloke, and for him to get off with only a fine, and then Barnett, who again it was a bad incident, to cop 6 weeks. There's just no consistency, and it just seems like there's always these bigger clubs. Like, I'm not about these conspiracy theories, but the amount of times something like this happens, and clubs like Melbourne, the Roosters, teams like that, their players just get off with a fine, and then these other sort of lower dwelling clubs are copping suspensions to players. It just does your head in. There's just no consistency, and it just boggles my mind.
Mate, I'm just looking in the chat. Michael Breers a little bit earlier doesn't have a wrench yet, Bogan, but can I give a shout out to Jerome Mamasia for losing dollars at a 205K starting price? It does take talent, mate, to lose cash from 205K starting price, but he has done it with the Knights, mate. Some ordinary scores. A lot of people talking about him getting more minutes now that obviously Barney is out. Boys, I think Thompson has definitely outperformed him. Leo Thompson looks fantastic. Mamasia is probably the next one once Barney comes back.
Well, the mail was that he might have shored up that edge spot that was left vacant from Barney, but it hasn't happened. Brodie Jones is now back, and he's been named to start on that edge. So
I'm a big Brodie fan too, mate.
Yeah, he's good. He's
like Brodie.
Yeah, he's no frills. He's a bit underrated. I reckon he's probably one for the future. But put a line through Jirai. He's not eventuated, and you're right. Leo looks 1,000 times better. So fucking Mamasia, I've got him as well.
Yeah, let's talk about the defending premiers. Obviously, a good performance from them. Obviously, they could have gone better with up against 12 players, but guys like May and Targa. Targa's obviously been brilliant over the first 3 weeks. He's just been fantastic. Was there any Charlie Staines about May's debut?
Not really. Maybe. I mean, he had to do probably a little bit more than what Staines had to do, but a couple of them were just sort of, fall on a ball or catch the ball and fall over sort of tries.
Yep.
I mean, he looked good. The base wasn't huge or anything like that, but obviously that left edge is pretty potent. And he managed to cross the line 3 times, which is not too bad. 106. I actually brought him in, King.
I saw.
One of my trades was actually Nanai, and I thought at the time May. I had brought in Nanai, and then
right,
because I upgraded Schneider to Hines, I had no money left. So I thought, look, I know May's security should be okay. I know it's a little bit early. I just think he's got a better chance of getting one of those blow up scores. And he was 100.
Nanai in last week and May.
No. I had one of my trades was Nanai in, but I used my trade. I traded him out again. So it was this. You got the rolling trade now. You can trade a player out.
Yeah.
The same position out until that game locks out. So I said to myself, I need a little bit more cash now. I've emptied the whole kitty going to Hines, and May's got a higher ceiling. And I thought it was a genius move on the Saturday afternoon, and then Nanai comes out and pretty much scores the same, scoring 3 tries himself. But look, May was good. I think without Cleary, they just show it again. They get the job done. Obviously, it was made a little bit easier by the fact that we lost Barnett when we did. But they still, the Knights challenged them, and they still just put the foot to the throat and got the job done, and as they have done. Crichton looked good. Luai looked good. again, just solid.
Yep.
And yeah, imagine when you got guys like Cleary, who was back this week, slotting back into this side, they're just going to be almost unstoppable the way they're looking at the moment.
Yep. No, fair call, mate. Fair call. Next game, both on the Saturday. Oh, mate, this honestly, like watching the footy last week, mate. I missed I saw a little bit of the Knights Panthers game at work, right? Just watching that work. I caught the second half of this, and I caught the third game between the Raiders and the Titans, and it's probably one of the best days of footy I've ever watched, just because of the excitement of how good everything went. And then the Sunday was probably the shittest day of football I've ever watched. So we'll get there in a second. But, mate, this game was just absolutely sensational. Back and forth, great footy. Both teams showed a lot of potential and why they are top 4, top 8 teams. The Eels getting the win there in the end. Mate, huge shout out to Ray Stone, the poor fucking bastard. But I tell you what, if you ever wanted to do an ACL injury, mate, he found the right way to do it. Scoring in Golden Point off a fucked up dropout. Like good on the fella. So hopefully he gets a good recovery. He'll be starting next year for the Redcliffe Dolphins. So, we'll welcome him back there. But, yeah, really good player, young Ray Stone. Dylan Brown, mate, huge comeback for him.
Yeah, it was. I've been a big Dill Brown fan for a couple of years, King, but last year he really stung a lot of people, and this was sort of the performance that you sort of hope to see from Dill Brown, and maybe finds a bit of form. But he was electric, couple of try assists, plenty of base in him, a few line breaks. He was just sort of involved in a lot of tackle busts as he does. So, it's hard to get a read on this kid. Sometimes I think he's one of the most exciting young halves in the comp, and then other weeks he just doesn't look interested. So I don't know, he can get his head switched on, and maybe this year he does. He looked really, really good. So well done to owners. He made nearly 50K, and obviously the points are absolute gold at this point of the year, and he's now with a -5 break even. So he'll continue to make a bit of cash and probably be a nice transition to possibly someone like a Munster, or even you might be able to make some money going him to Cody Walker if the trade looks good in a couple of weeks or something like that. But we'll see. If the form continues, you've got no reason to trade him. I'm not sure if he's pod. I don't know what his ownership percentage is at, King, but yeah, he was very good, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mate, from the Storm, all the usual suspects up there, mate. Especially that bloke at number 4. What a fucking legend he is. Honestly, all right, let's take the fucking name hat off here for a second. I thought this bloke had nothing. I thought he was fat and fucking slow like I am.
He did have nothing at Newcastle for what, 3 seasons or something.
But mate, this is where we've said it. Like Belly brings all these players into that Storm system, and they just thrive. They really do. He gets the absolute best out of anyone. So good on Joshy King. Well done, mate. It's great to see you up there, and retains his spot this week at the 13 with Cheese going back to the bench with the return of Harry Grant. Who knows what will happen to his minutes, but regardless of that, he's proven sort of what effect he's got in this team now. So they can count on him as the season goes on. My Money Munster upgraded about 20 points. Have you seen the haircut?
I have. I hope he keeps it. Is he keeping it?
Sensational.
I love it.
Oh, that's just a thing of beauty. And little Pappy, mate, little Dog the Bounty Hunter, he's going sensational as well. I think Cheese needs to get a mullet too. Something's got to go on there. They're just the mullet boys. Harry Grant will have one shortly. Really good ball from the Storm, but they went down to the Eels in crazy circumstances. But Supercoaches all around, we absolutely love this game.
Yeah, mate, and it's quite interesting. There's some contract talk happening at the moment for Munster. Apparently, the Storm are not going to be offering him as much as what he's on now. So whether he ends up Redcliffe Bound, we'll see. But at the moment, it'll be making it very hard for Melbourne to let him go with the way he looks. And if he keeps it up this season, Melbourne will be very, very tough to beat. But as it turned out, Harry got the job done. Shout out to Wild Turkey if you're watching. Bit of a bounce back from IPAP as well, King. I know you're on the IPAP train and a big fan of him. Played 83 minutes. Obviously, this one going into Golden Point, but 66 points in base and some attacking stats in there. So,
I'm honestly stoked. I know a lot of people talked about him getting unicorn points last season, and but genuinely, the bloke just puts in. He looks gassed after 5 minutes, and he looks exactly the same after 80 minutes. I think this is what he's going to be. I really do. I think, and Parramatta have embraced it. I don't see anyone taking him off the field. He's just really, really good. Their rotation is all about their rotation, their middle forwards. Nothing really about their edge forwards. I know, obviously, Maddo's out and things like that, but I can't imagine anyone taking minutes off him. And if he does, he might get a rest for 5 or 10 minutes here or there.
Well, I think it's interesting, King. I wasn't sure what sort of role he'd play, as you said, and he's short up the edge. He's getting the 80. The other big thing, obviously, having that duality, I think he's got to be a big priority, trying to get him into that second front row slot with Haas, because they're set and forget front rowers this year. Haas, IPAT. He hasn't ended up dropping much coin and probably won't end up dropping much coin now. So,
mate, 60 break even this week. You got to think he's going to hit that every week. 70, 75 is where he's going to sit.
So IPAP, I think, becomes on the list now, and probably not a huge priority straight away, but at some point, I think you've got to get him in pretty quickly.
Yep. Next game, Bogues, as we mentioned, the Raiders and the Titans, mate. If the last game was back and forth like a yo-yo, mate, this was just fucking tale of two cities, tale of two halves. Titans out to 22-0 after about 30 minutes. Raiders scored on the bell in halftime, about 30 seconds to go before halftime. And then the second half was all the Raiders. The Titans just completely ran out of puff. In that first half, Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, whatever the fuck his name is, was absolutely massive, mate. He was huge. I'd love to see that every week from him, mate. He just doesn't have it consistently yet.
Did you just have a Molan moment there, King?
Molan moment?
Yeah. Mookie.
Fuck, at least I can say Mo Firma.
Mookie, whatever she said.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, but we're not regulated like they are, mate. We've got 14 viewers at any fucking one stage, not 14,000.
35 at the moment. How's everyone
35.
doing?
Boys and girls, share the stream. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. But, mate, Hampton, yeah. I mean, Tino, I like what I see. I just want to see it more.
Yeah, he's I don't know. He's got that captaincy role, obviously, as well, King, this year, which is maybe added a bit of responsibility to him. He's still only playing that 60-odd minute mark, which is pretty good for a big man playing lock, but the base isn't there. He's not averaging a point per minute in base, so you're probably going to need something from him, whether it's letting that arm go a little bit more with some offloads or, a line break or a try every now and then, which he is capable of. But, yeah, you'd probably put him on the watch list because he's handy with that duality as well. But, I was at this game, mate, and it was a really entertaining game of footy. I thought Schneider looked brilliant. Schneider looks like a genuine half, and it's quite interesting, when you consider that the Raiders picked up Fogarty, because I feel like they could probably, stick with this kid. He goal kicks, and I think he complements Whiten quite well. Whiten obviously playing some good footy as well, so that's an interesting one. And yeah, I think I mentioned in the chat after the game that Matt Tomoko, live, mate, he is an absolute handful and can put a shot on both of those young Raiders centres, Valamai and
2 tries,
Tomoko.
77 points.
Yeah, look, it might not translate to Supercoach points, but I think he's a beast, and he's only a young fella. So, yeah, he was good. Obviously, Famore was pretty big. I'm a Sexton owner, and I was filthy he didn't get given that try in that first half there as well, because he probably would have turned up, and the Titans did absolutely nothing in that second half. So it was a really good game of footy. But, yeah, it's interesting. A few people sat on for feeder as well. He, again, didn't do much, mate. He dropped about 40K and now has about 100 break even.
Right.
And they play the Tigers this week. So if you got off him,
for feeder train for the long run, mate. Look, the Tigers, I think they're weak on that left edge. Asako comes in. Jaden Campbell's gone. The block that is Jaden Campbell from Fafita getting the ball. I think, that's gone now. And Fafita, mate, the frustrating part is, mate, he doesn't perform until there's 5 minutes to go in the half. Like both of his line breaks there last week and his big plays were within about 3 or 4 minutes to go before half and full time. he waits for everyone to get tired and then he sort of puts in. I really want to see him put in a little bit more than that. But for now, mate, that's probably the most average game you'll see him play, and he still scored 70 points. So I'd prefer to have him get 70 than not have him and see someone else get 120, 130 out of him.
Well, he's still averaging 62 at the moment, which isn't too bad, but you just expect so much more from him, right? So.
Yeah, true. Yep. And mate, the Sunday games. Like I say, these are just fucking atrocious. Like, I'm glad I don't.
I think I would have been sitting probably around that 1100 odd mark going into the Sunday King. I think I had Cobbo, Stags, Haas, and I ended up switching Bullmore to Max King once I saw Bullmore got dropped, but dropped to the bench. But I was really banking on Brisbane scoring a couple tries and Cobbo maybe getting one or two for themselves. It was such a letdown. Brisbane, I don't know if Kevy Walters is just an idiot, but how the fuck you have a centre pairing of Katoni, Stags and that Cobbo with Reynolds out there, obviously Ricky's out there as well, and you're playing to Kurt Capewell and fucking Herbie Farnworth, as good as he's been, I just don't understand it. They generally did not go to that right edge much at all.
Yeah.
And it absolutely killed me. I feel it was a game plan thing. Stags and that didn't go looking for the ball enough, but they just didn't go the right enough in general, which was a concern. But I'm like you, I still see potential in Stags and Cobbo, and I think it's only a matter of time until they blow up. I won't be getting off them. I won't be getting off them either.
I called in Cobbo after week one. Week one, he scored about 45 odd points, and everything went wrong.
2 or 3 disallowed.
And I thought, well, if everything's gone wrong this week and he scored 45, he's got to get better than this. And it's gotten worse, Dragged twice into the in goal from fucking 10 metres out on the weekend. He's just the only thing I'm really concerned about is if this kid is anything about confidence and a confidence player, he's going to be shot for the rest of the season, because the last 2 weeks he has just been absolutely destroyed by not even just his opposite number, but the opposite sort of side of the field for each team he's played have just destroyed him. So he looks like he's lost a little bit of that natural footballer that we all sort of love to see in these guys, sort of that athletic ability. Stags is the same, mate. Stags is just cold drops, like just barely any pressure on, and he's just putting the pill down. So, mate, there's so much potential there, but I'm not too sure what Kevy's got to do to get it right.
Yeah, and I think the only issue with holding him now, King, is they'll play. You probably would have hoped to get a few more points out of them coming up against the Dogs and the Cowboys in the last couple of weeks. They play the Warriors this week, I think, and then they play the Chooks and Penrith. So it's going to be a tough hold if they don't do well this week as well, because then, as I said, they're going to the Chooks and Penrith. But I don't know. I just still see the potential in them. They might hurt me to hold them, but I just can't let them go now, because if one of them does blow up now, I'll be absolutely sick.
Yeah.
I just think it's a matter of time.
Yeah. And then, obviously from a Cowboys point of view, made some great scores across the park. Probably one of the biggest talking points, mate. Tamalolo went off after 56 minutes, I think, or 52 minutes. It was about 25 odd to go, and he didn't come back on. Obviously, the Cowboys were a long way in front. I thought at some stage with maybe 15 to go he could have, and then they scored a try that sort of put him out about 16 or 18 points. And I think it just became, non-existent. Mate, Tommy Didd has been huge the first 3 weeks for them. Val Holmes has been fantastic. Griffin Neem has been big. The whole Cowboys team, mate, this is probably what I expected to see out of a Cowboys team straight away from Toddy Payton last year. And it just might have taken him a little bit of time to get the team on board.
Can I just quickly say on low, though, I'm dark that he had some junk. He got a really junk try assist with a short ball to someone, and he probably would have only scored about 30 points, because I traded him out last week. So I'm fucking filthy about that, just quietly. But, I think Tommy Dearden looks awesome. He's so underrated, but a big score from him. He's just involved in everything. Every time there's something happening, he just pops up. I wouldn't probably recommend him as a Supercoach player, but he's scored really solid to start the season, and now he's a genuine option to make some money. Talking to Bogan before we started, he's made nearly 100K this week, and he's got a negative 24 break even. So, I mean, I probably wouldn't buy him, but anyone that maybe rolled the dice with him being a dual half at 350 odd K has done really well. Out of it, he's produced some points and now is going to make some really good money.
Yep.
And, they play the Chooks this week, but then the draw's not too bad after that with the Warriors, Raiders, Titans. So, yeah, he's a different one. I don't know, I wouldn't be bringing him in, but he's only 5% owned. And like I said, he just is really involved. And anytime the ball's in or around him, something happens. And the other standout for me was the Nanai. Obviously, he scored the 3 tries and only scored the 100 points or whatever it was. What did he end up scoring 100 in the end?
Yeah, but mate, the thing was, from the kicks, and
that's the thing. There was no line breaks. It was there was nothing in them. So obviously, when you're scoring tries, you want to get a line break with them to add the points to them. But he looks good. Like, he just looks like a good young edge back row. He's only 19 years old, and he's getting the minutes. So, yeah, it's promising. If you had him or you started with him, you're absolutely cheering. He's making some good money now and will continue to do so.
One thing I'll point out as well, mate, Reuben Cotter looked really good. He looked hungry. He really looked like he just was so active in attack and defence. That was his first game of the season, wasn't it?
Cotter?
Yeah.
No. He played.
He's been playing off the bench or something.
Oh no, he did. That was his first game. Sorry, you're right. I didn't realise that was his first game.
Yeah. So I think you want to shut them kids up, mate, or what?
Oh fucking hell.
Mate, he just looked good. This is probably who I thought I was starting the season with. You know what I mean? Like, you go back to the days in preseason where we were talking about Cotter and Randall as that sort of combination at the 9 spot. And that sort of 62 on the weekend from Cotter in limited minutes, that was what we were looking at. So, I don't know. I'm really thinking jump off Randall, jump onto Cotter maybe, because Randall's just not getting the time. He definitely doesn't have the attacking stats. I think Randall is probably one of the biggest busts of the season so far.
Yeah, I'm looking at how I might be able to get him out this week, to be honest. I don't know if I'll be able to go him to Starling, but it's on the table. Mate, this Griffin Neem, he's a front rower, 250K. Obviously got some points he probably wouldn't usually get on the weekend with the try, but he will make a bit of money. I don't know if it's worth a trade to bring him in because you're probably going to have to get him out pretty quickly after that, and he's not playing great minutes or anything like that, but I'm seeing his name mentioned around if you're really desperate, maybe, but I don't know. His securities probably might be an issue, but I don't really know much about him, to be honest. He's sort of come out of nowhere. But yeah.
And mate, the final game played in torrential rain. The Manly Seagulls got up 13-12 over the Bulldogs in what many super coaches were either praying for or praying against. Tommy Turbo, mate, 60-odd points. Yeah, officially, you shouldn't have started the season with him if you did.
Yeah, well, what do you say? He dropped 170-odd thousand K this week, and he's faced with a 240 break even again this week. So, yeah, I just think to that big spiel I gave at preseason about how you couldn't start with him if you don't, you're chasing the pack.
Glad, but... I created it after you fucking talked that shit. Created a team with him, and I'm so glad I went back to the original plan. Like, there was no way, even bring the 6 again rule back in. There is no way a player can average 150 in Supercoach. You just cannot fucking do it. I don't care how good you are. The sample size was too small. Yeah, I'm fucking glad. Jeez.
Anyway, he now faces a big player, and I think the question is, man, like, they've got a lot of people. A lot of people are like, "Oh, when's he going to bottom out? When's he going to bottom out?" But I don't know. Do you need to pick after what we've just seen him produce against the Dogs? Is he one of the top 2 Supercoach fullbacks? Have we seen enough from Paps and Latrell and Teddy and I don't know. Do you think you still need to get him in? Is he still going to be one of the top two fullbacks to finish the year, do you think?
Look, based on last year, the Eagles starting 0-4, and I know it was without Turbo. I know Turbo didn't come back till a little bit further into the season. He's still the best fullback in the game, mate, with regards to Supercoach point scoring. I think it's great that we have the luxury now of being able to not need him or not have him. I think we can sort of wait until that maybe week 6 or week 7, but then you've got Origin to consider as well.
Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. When do you bring him in?
When do you bring him in? You know, it completely feels like a round 19 thing again. Like that run home that he had last year. I'm thinking round 18, round 19, bring him in and get him for the last 6 or 7 weeks and whatever price he's at the time he is.
Yeah, so interesting one. Obviously, it was a bit of a dour affair, Supercoach-wise, to be honest. Obviously, Garrick top scored with a 72, Dufty 66 for the Dogs. Pangai was pretty quiet. Thompson was also pretty quiet, which is interesting. And obviously, Bullmore was relinquished to his starting edge back row spot. There was a late switch there with Davey. So Bullmore now becomes a bit irrelevant by the looks of things with Davey back in the squad and Shush is still not back yet. So,
last week, mate. That hurt last week. Bullmore getting 13 points absolutely killed me. I just thought that was, I thought he was good for a 35 or a 40. And I know it's not much at the end of the day, but, that 20 points, makes up 2,000 or 3,000 spots at this time of the year.
Well, I'm hoping he just gets dropped now so he doesn't start bleeding cash because he wasn't bottom dollar. And that was the round 3.
That was the round. Matty Burton solid with the 37 there for any Liam Knight award followers.
Well, how'd Collins go?
57, mate. So he's
you're kidding.
He's got 49, 21, 57. Any mathematicians out there want to add that up? 49, 21 is 70 and 57 is 127. All right, so you got a 42.6666 average or some bullshit like that. 42.33 average.
Bang, got it.
All right, so.
But who's counting, King?
Huh?
But who's counting?
Who's counting? Yeah, who's counting? Who's concerned about getting a Liam Knight tattoo at all? No one's concerned at all. Thursday night, mate, we open up footy in a couple of days' times with the Titans and the Tigers, two teams obviously in different sort of areas. I mean, the Titans are running a high off running a very, very low off last week's loss to the Raiders. And the Tigers, in what could have been a win, went down to the Warriors. So two teams that will be definitely wanting to bounce back. We see the entry of Jermaine Asako at fullback, mate. Jaden Campbell out for a couple of weeks. I don't think we'll see Campbell back anytime soon. I think Jermaine's going to give this team a little bit more stability that they need. I don't think Campbell comes back for at least the next 6 weeks.
Interesting. My concern is I'm hoping, as a Sexton owner, he doesn't lose the goal kicking either, but I guess we'll get an idea of how serious they are about Asako. As to whether, if he ends up goal kicking, you might suggest that he might actually be a bit more of a mainstay, as you're suggesting. Obviously Corey Thompson returns, and this is a game that obviously you've got to look at for feeder as the VC. I know you sort of mentioned you don't like the Thursday night game, but it's sort of hard to ignore Big Davey. If nothing else, he's due. And, I think...
Well, I do like that Tuolangi is back, mate.
He is back, yeah. Big Kellner's back, yep. So I'll be looking at Davey here. Obviously, Bo for more. I didn't realise there's a lot of people talking about Bo. I thought he was a bit more owned than what he is, so plenty of people looking to bring him in. But where is he here? Apologies, just give me a sec. He'll be a bit more owned now. He's at 15% now, and that's probably after a number of people. Oh, maybe that's not updated. That could be an old figure, but yeah, it's still pretty low considering he's set a winger at the price that he is starting on the edge, playing 80. I was surprised.
I just could not start him, mate. Just in my mind, and I've sort of that's been through the whole preseason. Even mate, he's just been one of my first picks based on his price. I just thought he was great value. I don't really see, Proctor we know is on the way out. He's definitely at the end of his career, and there was no one really else there pushing for spots in that second row. Yeah, maybe in front row that Jamin Jollif's been great. but he just was going to get the minutes. And by half those games last year, he looked better than Fafita. You know, like he just there's something there with him. So I'd be encouraging anyone if you don't have this guy yet, get him in.
He's just very similar to Fafita. The base isn't huge. You need the attacking stats, but he's just involved in everything, and he just
But that's what the Titans do, mate. Like that's what the whole team does with the Titans. They are a team based around attack. They're the team that if you score 30 points, they've got to score 32 to win. You know, like yeah, and they can do it.
Yeah. So a lot of people looking at for more. It's still probably not too late to get on him. He's a negative 26 break even, and he's at 440k. So he'll still make a bit of money, and he could, he's possibly going to hit 600k shortly, which will be interesting. I know we'll have to sort of have a look to see whether you think he's going to be a keeper for the run home or who you can upgrade him for. But at this point in time, there's no issues with for more. So
Kane, I'll be happy to see Corey Thompson back. I think he's got him in every single draft imaginable. So taking a while.
He does. So, yeah, obviously Thompson back, and I think this is their best two wing pairings, if I'm honest. I know Sammy's obviously not there, and he's generally a mainstay, but Marzu is a beast, and, Corey Thompson back, and we all know what he's capable of and very Supercoach friendly. Tigers side, mate, you obviously got a lot of Gildart. You're probably a start this week for Gildart, would you?
Well, I'm not too sure. Obviously, we know the Titans can leak points, so that's always a good thing for the outside backs. I'm hoping that David Fafita can run over him 400 times and pick up 180 points. But, look, he possibly could be on my Reggie's, mate. We'll see.
Yeah. Jock Madden obviously getting in there again. He scored all right last week, but with Hastings due back in round 6, you're probably not going to get much out of Jock unless they decide to drop Luke Brooks, depending on what happens. But that's probably about it from that one, mate.
Next game, boys, Friday night, mate. I'll tell you what.
There's got to be a bet on this one.
I'm annoyed at that chili that he just had. I really am. I'm really annoyed at that chili you just had, mate. That just looks so pathetic.
Oh, you want to up the stakes, do you?
Sorry, you said something?
You want to up the stakes? What are we doing?
It's got to be a reaper. We've got to do a reaper.
Where are we getting these fucking things from?
Fuck if I know. There's got to be a bloody fruit
chili shops
that's got Carolina Reaper chilies.
Fuck.
I ain't doing dog food. I ain't doing raw eggs again, mate.
I ain't eating that animal food.
I can throw a chili down and swallow it. That's easy.
To be fair, King, you didn't do them the first time.
That cat food thing is...
Hence my point. No, that cat food is bad.
That's got to be one of the worst things I've ever seen. I almost felt bad for you. Look, do we go Carolina Reaper or what?
I'll tell you what, though. You know,
chili cat food. How's that from Michael Z? Chili cat food.
You know, when you got alcohol problems, it's just like, fucking hell. Wild turkey. How do we not get fucking sponsors? Seriously. Oh, you fuckers. I need a case a week. That's all I need. Case a week gets me through Monday and Tuesday. The rest I can take care of myself. Anyway. All right.
Someone tag him or whatever. Look, Nico Hines, bud, is he still a buy? 740, just under 750k, break even at 6.
Yeah.
He's produced a 72, 101, 124. Still a buy.
Mate, the bloke could score 300 this week the way your team's going. Actually, he's a bloke.
We're going right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Newcastle are going right.
Mate, look, he's still a buy. The duality, whether you want him at fullback, whether you want him at half. I brought him in at fullback last week. I've switched him to half this week. I didn't get my trading floor through to Bogue, so we can go through that shortly. But, I think he's a buy, mate. I think you've got to have him in there on current form. Supercoach is all about not missing out on the wrong players at the wrong time, and if you miss this guy, you're just going to get left behind from the people in front.
Definitely, and another one that I haven't bought or won't be buying, but it's interesting given what's happening at hooker at the moment. You've got Blake Braley, who's scoring quite well, pretty consistent. There has been some attacking stats in there, but 480k. He's got a 13 break even, but he's just missed the consistency so far. He's looked good for you, and I think he's starting to hit a bit of that potential that we've all heard about him over the last few years. As I said, I genuinely think you guys look like a bit of a top 4 contender this season. Just very solid, completing your sets and getting to your kicks. And obviously Nico makes it such a big difference. So should be a good game. We welcome Kalen Ponga back, hopefully, for his second game of the season. Obviously not really based on what I've seen so far, but it will be good to see what he adds because we haven't really seen much from him.
You know why I like Tex Hoy there more? Is because you don't rely on him. Like, I find that when you've got KP at the back that they try to get to him too much, that he tries to get too involved. I mean, you're not a 5'8", you're not a halfback, you know what I mean? Like, you're not the guy who runs everything. You're the bloke who finishes everything. And Tex Hoy, I reckon, in the last couple of weeks has just done that brilliant. And I think KP just might be a little bit confused about what he actually has to bring to this team, mate. And I think, I don't know. I just think you might be a better and more effective team without him.
Well, and you don't know if his mind's elsewhere now. There's obviously a bit of chat about contracts and this and that. So, look, I think obviously with Clune there and Clifford, they're genuine halves. It takes a bit of pressure off him compared to last season when at times we had, Kurt Mann in there and Mitchell Pearce, who's just absolutely busted. But, yeah, look, it'd be interesting to see how we use him and what he adds because at the end of the day, I think he's still better to have him there than not. But hopefully, like you said, we're not going to him now that we have a bit more stability out of Clune and Clifford, those genuine halves that can spear us around the park a bit more and we're not just throwing him the ball hoping he'll do something. So, look, it should be a cracking game. Hopefully the weather's good. As I said, Brodie Jones will take that edge spot left now by Barnett for 6 weeks. I don't know what he's worth, but it's probably not cheap. But I don't know. He could be.
Brodie, I think he's around the 300.
Yeah, he's not bad. 275k King. So
he's worth it, mate. Really is.
He could be. If he ends up getting some big minutes there, I'm not entirely sure how many minutes he'll play. I presume he'll play 80, but he might not. He might play 60 odd. But I think he could be a good one.
The bad thing about him has always been that job security. Is whether he was playing in the centres last year, those few games in the second row. I think there's a lot of people out there who are fans, but he needs to establish himself as that keeper, like a Bo Firma, mate. Like if he could do the same thing that Firma's done, like he'd be one of the top owned players in the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Game on the Friday night and a grand final replay here with the Panthers up against the Bunnies. Obviously, a lot of players missing, but we do see the return of the Chin. Nathan Cleary back in the side for the Panthers, mate. How do you reckon he'll go?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. He's just a bit of an ultimate professional. When he'll be ready to go. They've given him a bit extra time to rest, so I think he should be fit and healthy, ready to go. And, I think he'll slot in pretty seamlessly, obviously, and just add another dimension to that Penrith side that has already looked so good this season. A good test for him straight up. I think Bogan and I are having a quick chat while we're waiting for you to chime in, King, about whether he is a buy this week or do you wait? Because if you do wait, you're faced with the prospect of him taking on the Bulldogs next week. Then they play the Broncos the week after and then the Raiders the week after that. So there's some good opportunities there in the next sort of month of footy for him to score some points. Do you wait for him to drop maybe 100k or can you buy him at nearly $1 million and chase the points? What do you reckon?
Well, I'll tell you what. The only people who can buy him easy are the people who got turbo. Other than that, you're going to sacrifice somewhere else in your team. So we can see that the people who have got turbo...
I disagree.
I think there's been some people stockpiling money. There has been some people stockpiling.
I'm looking to bring him in this week, and that's why me and Brent had the conversation earlier.
How are you going to do it, Bogues?
Appy out, Starling into my starting hooker.
How much money does that create?
I have 500 banked, and that'll bring me.
Okay, so it really, and again, mate, just talking about that situation. It's not really anything to do with the players you're changing around. It's more the fact that you've chosen to bank money.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, that's fair, mate. At the end of the day, that's part of the tactics.
I've been able to keep my scores
Correct, and
tracking with everyone else though as well.
Well, that's what I was just going to say as well. We've just spoken earlier in the show about you being ahead of both Brent and I overall. Yet you've got 500k in the bank, and we're both probably sitting on 100 or 200. You know, so those are the tactics about Supercoach that are going to see people be successful or not.
I'm just wondering whether I should bring in Dearden for a few weeks.
Yeah,
and then hopefully get some cash on him, and then pick up Cleary cheaper.
Yeah, look,
What does chat think?
Put a poll up.
I mean, he still hasn't played. I don't know what his break even will be, but at the moment, Cleary's he's sitting at saying it's 100, which obviously
he hasn't even played. So
yeah, but it still has a rolling break even. Like it'll that's still relative. Yeah. Like if he hits that break even this week, if he doesn't, it's obviously going to be a bit more next week. But he's in 4% of teams, so he's going to be a pod. And I can see people bring him in pretty quickly if he looks good this week. I think South looked okay, but I still think South could get trounced in this one. So it's an interesting. It's a big call. Much like starting with Turbo and whether you traded him or not. This is another one of those pretty pivotal decisions to make this season, King. Is when do you get on Cleary? Do you go early?
I think it was probably a lot more clear cut if you had a starter from round one. You know, the Panthers draw from round one. As you say, it softens now. It was probably a little bit harder 3 weeks ago.
100%.
So I think that was basically where we saw, all right, if he averages 75, we get a 200k discount by round 4, round 5, and you could get him in this for this easy run. Now, all of a sudden, the people who have got him, if he does average 100, 105, he's only going to drop 20k. He's only going to drop 50k. He's going to drop bugger all. When do you actually get access to him? And by then, Origin comes around. So it's now or never. Like it really feels like maybe you get to watch this week. But if you're going to watch this week, you've got to be putting aside the cash this week as well to get him next week.
So just to repeat, someone asked in the chat, my plan at the moment, I've used my trades and I've got Cleary in. But what I'm thinking of doing is, instead of bringing in Cleary this week, bring in Tom Dearden, because he is almost guaranteed to make money, and hold off to see if Cleary loses money before bringing him in to see if I can generate cash instead.
Okay.
And interesting there from Mickey Breers saying he looked at the stats. Only a 4-game sample, but Cleary averages 107 returning after a break. So I don't know. I think he's going to be fit, fire, and ready to go. And I'll have a look to see whether I can get him in this week, King. I don't think I'll be able to. I'd probably have to use a boost to figure it out. But that's a lot of money to just try and come out of nowhere with when I only got 100k in the bank. So,
Shuey Wallace in the chat asked what Bogan's rank is. Mate, Bogan's ranked about 7,000. Me and Hampton are ranked about 12,000.
The only other one, obviously, is Taylor May. It'll be pretty obvious now. Obviously, we showed he turned up last week. He'll be probably one of the most popular cheapies, if not this week, definitely next week when he gets his third game in.
I kept calling him May earlier because I couldn't fucking remember what the cunt's first name was. I was like, it's not Tyrone. That's his brother. But anyway, Taylor and Tyrone, yeah.
Obviously,
not essential, but they're probably still going to score 2 or 3 tries down that left-hand side against the Bunnies, eh?
You'd imagine so. And the only other one that's obviously worth a mention on that Rabbit side, obviously, Cam Murray, Latrell, all the usual suspects, but Cody Walker.
Yeah, boys. I'll be back.
Cody Walker dropped nearly 100,000 this week, so he's down to 637k and 127 break even this week. I know he hasn't showed a heat, but I think if you can get someone like Cody Walker for around 550k, he's an absolute bargain. And I think, just quickly having a look, and the draw really opens up for the South after this week. So they'll take on the Dragons, Bulldogs, Tigers, Manly, Brisbane, Warriors over the next 6 weeks following. So I think Cody Walker is a big target after this week. He's definitely on my list. So, yeah, keep an eye on him. I think Latrell looked good. He's a bit of a pod. I just think it's just going to be a tough game for any of those Rabbitohs players to score points generally across the park. Moving on to the first game on the Saturday, the Warriors will take on the Broncos. And Sean Johnson is named on the extended bench, so we're interested to see if he makes his way back into the side. Elisa Katoa's all good after suffering that eye injury last week. On the Broncos side of the park, Kurt Catewell's got a bit of a calf issue, according to what I'm reading. Tommy Fledger's back on the bench, and Jordan Ricky.
Oh, there he is. Flagler, mate.
What about him?
There's a bit of a pod.
You reckon he has a bit of a breakout year?
I reckon Ryan James is fucking useless. And I reckon give Flagler a week or two of fitness, and Palacia doesn't start again in the front row. It's Haas and Flagler for the rest of the year. Mate, yes.
I think he always...
2 or 3 weeks, I reckon we're good for a couple of weeks. So we don't have to worry about price going up, price going down. But once he gets a little bit fitter, yeah, he'll follow suit behind the big man Haas.
He's always passed the eye test, and there's big raps on him. So, maybe this is the breakout year. What's he worth?
380 odd, I think.
Yeah, he's tricky.
I got to be honest, I haven't looked since pre-season, so.
No, you're right. He's 378, so you bang on. But yeah, so obviously
first people.
A big one again for someone that owns Stags and Cobbo myself. I have to hold them and have to play them, and then the draw really gets tough for them. But yeah, there's probably not much else. There's a bit of mail that Ricky won't be good, and TC Rabati will move into the starting side as well. Probably won't be too long.
Actually, Hetherington's been all right. I don't mind Hetherington. Been pretty impressive.
Kobe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know if there's anyone else in there at this point in time that's got any Supercoach relevance.
I just need Pogba to score fucking 200.
It could be this week. I really need it to be this week, given the draw that they've got.
Please, you can't.
Yeah, I'll be banking on this one as well, King. I hope there's some points in this one. But fucking Walters actually tells them to shift the ball right. We'll be right. The second game on the Saturday at Mudgee will be the Eagles taking on the Raiders. Again, Tommy Turbo owners will be probably chucking the C on him, I'd have to imagine, in this one. Another decent matchup and another big break even, so he'll be hoping he can pump out a big score. Andrew Davey has now secured that starting edge spot. Bullmore drops to the bench. So I think there was a little bit of mail, or I saw something in one of the BJ chat about Bullmore might not be right to go this week, which would be an absolute blessing in disguise because he's now going to start bleeding some absolute money that he never really made.
This week is 60 for a 280k play.
That's no good. So all the people that call him a trap to start the season, well done. I said he'd make a little bit of a slow burn, and he's not even going to do that. So
he made 3k.
That's the definition of slow burn, and he's going to start losing some money. Obviously, a few people keen on Tommy Starling. King, you're still verdicts out. You're not a fan?
No, it's not that I'm not a fan. Look, obviously, yeah, I probably didn't praise him as much as others last week. I had a bit of a chat about him in the podcasters chat with Kano, saying that I thought he looked better over 60 than 80 minutes. What I thought I saw last week with Matty Frawley starting and Starling coming on after 2025, I thought was brilliant. Starling came on straight away and made an impact just with that. That old school 2 number 9 sort of combination. So I think that's where his talent lies, is, basically exploiting slower forwards. And I think Manly have been exactly that. Manly have been very, very average up the middle. Yep. I think Starling could have a big game here, but I want to see him coming off the bench, not starting.
Yeah, and he just reminds me of like a Cookie in his prime, the way he gets out of dummy half. He's so quick. But you're right, it's a fair call. I think you get a quality 60 out of him. You might get some more attacking sort of stats out of him, but the base is not awesome. Me wrong, like,
you have him on from the start. He's made 20 tackles before he is effective in attack. Tommy Starling is an attacking hooker. He's not a defensive. He's not a 60 tackles per game, and that's the difference. That's That's basically what you want to look at. So, yeah, give Matty Frawley the starting spot, get him sort of, tackling or whatever that first 20, 25 minutes and bring Starling on. He'll be gold.
Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, I think Joey Tapine has probably been pretty disappointing, mate. There was plenty of people thought he might be a goer to start the year, but he's not getting the minutes. He's only getting 45 minutes and he's about a point per minute in base. So he's a bit of a stinker for people. Hudson Young, CHN, are sort of not playing full games, but yeah, I don't really know. Apart from Schneider, there's probably not a heap of Supercoach relevance out there in this one.
Mate, Rapana, however you want to call him. Mate, he's just solid. Like, you get the same kind of a player out of him every week, mate. He has a crack. You know, he's there last week. There was probably 3 or 4 times where he was supporting on the left-hand side coming in from the right wing. I can't fault the guy with regards to effort. I can fault him with a lot of other things, but yeah, with effort on the footy park, if you've got one 500 or 500k player in your team in the centre wings, this guy could be it.
Yep. Moving on to the last game on the Saturday. It could be a bit of a game with the Cowboys taking on the Chooks, mate, up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, obviously they've got a lot of confidence out of the last couple of weeks, the Cowboys. Round 1 might have been about them finding a new combination as well and sort of getting through that. Across the park, everyone's been good. And, I think the commentary sort of on Sunday from Channel 9 and a lot of the other places sort of went through it, where they've probably got one of the most exciting young forward packs. These young lads like Nanai and Lukey and Neem and Cotter and stuff, these guys are all putting in. They're really having a crack. And, if you can get mate, footy, it's not much of a secret. If you can win the middle of the park, everything else gets easier. So if these guys are sort of winning that middle third and on the edges, that's going to make a difference. And, mate, one thing I will say is that's been proven to be the Roosters' downfall in the last few years. Whenever a team gets on top of them in the forward pack, they can win. So, that said, Jordan McLean and Cohen Hess up front are probably not the players to do it. I just think they're both weak and stuff. Mate, bring one of the other lads on into the 13, maybe Cotter. Put Tamalolo up there at front to begin with, and just over that first 20 to 25 minutes, just try and dominate.
Bash them.
You got a kid crying, mate?
I thought I did. I'm probably just hearing things at this point.
Does it at work?
Nah, home tonight, which is good. Yeah, look, I think that's all right. Fuck, man. When there's another one, when there's 4, I reckon I'll have to take some leave from the show because it's just going to be chaotic. But, yeah, I think Hiku burned a couple last week, but still made a bit of money and will probably make, hopefully, a bit of money. But this is a tough matchup. Mate, there's no Suwali in that team list just for now, but Kevin Aguama's in there. Billy Smith has been so frustrating. I keep playing him because his base has been all right and he's playing on the wing, but I think it's just a matter of time before he goes. He hasn't really come to fruition as I'd sort of hoped, and I thought he might have at least got some attacking stats by now, but it hasn't happened.
Mate, I hated him so much from the first week. He was the reason I went to Cobbo. Like, straight away, it was just a blind trade, but I thought, fuck it. I see potential in Cobbo, not so much in Billy. Both of them are shit cunts.
I'm persisting with him. I'll start him again this week because I've got some other issues. I'm just hoping he can jag some meat and blow up because there'll be plenty of people jumping off him because he looks like dog shit. I thought Joey Manu's looked really good. Toops has looked really good. So still a couple of guys you could look to bring in.
Yep.
I think those Roosters halves are going to just share the points week to week, and at times you're going to see from what you saw from Kiri, from Walker and Kiri throughout the season, but you just have to wear that sort of stuff. So yeah, plenty of people banking on Chooks to hopefully get some points in this one after last week. But yeah, all the usual suspects are in there that you should be looking at. So
very cool. Next game, Bogues. Look, people are going to look at this game and think it's a write-off. People are going to think the Storm and the form they're in. The Dogs haven't started off the season that well, but they have improved. I definitely think they've improved from last season. Personnel-wise, they have recruited, in a good way. Dufty's been really, really good so far, but he does look like he's almost doing it on his own. But yeah, the Storm should just be too classy. But we've seen this in the past where, the Bulldogs have basically come back and sort of given it to a team like the Storm or in the top four. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I honestly think the difference in this game is in the coach's box, not on the field.
Mate, you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. And that's what
Trent Barrett is a fucking awful coach. And Craig Bellamy's probably one of the best coaches that you'll ever see.
Fair call, Bogues.
Mate, let's talk about the bench spot for the Storm. Brendan Smith. Where does he play and how many minutes does he play?
I don't know. I still see the Swifty. I still see King getting benched and Smitty starts. I really don't know how many minutes Grant will play. I think he can play that 65, 70 or even 80, but I don't think that he will be used he won't be playing 80. So I think at some point he'll get spelled for Brendan Smith. So if that happens, I imagine Brendan Smith probably has to start the game for it to sort of work out, depending on how Bellamy does it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Smith ends up starting lock and plays 60
play 80,
minutes.
don't they?
What's that?
Felice and Kenny
Yeah.
They both play 80.
Yeah, they're both 80-minute edges, yeah.
And Joshy King, he didn't play 80 last week, did he?
No, he's been playing around that 60, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 60 odd? Yeah, 65 minutes consistently.
Think with Smith going back there and 3 other forwards in your bench rotation, that he's probably going to cop a drop in minutes, maybe 8 to 10 to 15 minutes drop.
Well, you got to think, right, if you got your Kafusis and your Bromwiches playing 80, then you've only got Jesse Bromwich, or the 2 prop 80s, which is 160 minutes plus the lock 80. So 240 minutes to share between
7 players.
Yeah, and some quality there with Brandon Smith. And I think Brandon Smith takes a good at least 25% of those minutes. So I don't know. Even if if you can get sort of 45, 50, you're probably still going to pump out a point per minute. But I think you'll be a good transition to someone in a couple of weeks. I think you'll sort of peter out shortly, so. But he'll hit over 400, maybe 450, and you'll get us to someone.
I'm definitely not elite, mate. Definitely.
You've done a job for us. Shout out, King. Obviously Coates is back. I thought Meaney would have kept the spot because I thought he's just scoring tries everywhere. But Coates is back. Aaron Myers in there at this stage. But yeah, I mean, I straight away just thought Paps as captain again. Munster's a target. He's got a very low break-even. King, you obviously brought him in last week, but I just think he looks really good, and it looks like it could be to the detriment of Jerome Hughes.
Mate. Look, it's funny. At the start of the season, I was really trying to find some other way around Teddy Pappy at fullback. And I've ended up with Teddy Pappy after 3 rounds. Mate, I've gone the trade. I've dumped Moses. I've brought Nico up to halfback. And I've brought in Pappy in a fullback alongside Teddy. So Pappy just looked that good last week against the Eels. I felt if I left it any longer, I like Moses and I think he is going to perform well, but he's just not the same class. He's just not the same sort of dynamic player as these guys are. Just trying to do the smart thing and swallow a bit of my pride with who I thought was going to play well or not play well and join the crowd, mate.
Definitely. I've got Paps and Grant, and I'll be probably trying to get Munster in. I'm trying to get all these expensive blokes in. I don't know how it's going to work, but they look good. I don't know. Supercoach-wise on that dog side of the park, you'd be taking a punt if you probably weren't anyone in there 1 to 13. If we're being honest, even with Pangai Jr., he only scored 30 points last week. I don't know what happened there. What was his minutes like? 46 minutes, and he only played 50 minutes.
It's a fucking average game, mate.
In round 2. So the only other one is your cousin, mate. He's still, I know I mentioned that Griffin Neem, but your cousin Max is still 250.
I think he's a hold for now. Done 188k. He's obviously made us some money now. He has got the offload. He has got that there. Obviously, Hetherington's gone with a shoulder subluxation or whatever the fuck they call it. Waddell's managed to get that sort of starting spot, but Maxi King in that rotation now, I reckon he'll go all right still.
There was a bit of concern. He only played 26 minutes on the weekend, King, so I don't know what the go is
it's
there.
like
But
32 points, I think. So
38 points.
Right.
So he does have that offload, as you said, but he's he's minus 11 break even again. So hopefully he can bump like a 40 or a 50 out and keep making a bit of coin. But I don't think it's too late to jump on, but you've missed the best part of him, I reckon, missing that sort of 60K he went up this week.
And last game of the round, mate, is the Eels and the Dragons. So the Dragons coming off a long layoff from Thursday one week to Sunday the next. Mate, the Eels should just be too good in this, and I'm hoping to see some points finish the round off with the likes of Papali and such. But, mate, the Dragons, probably one of the most disappointing, a lot of disappointing players across the park for the Dragons with regards to Supercoach. I think, Amon's been ordinary. Sloan was sort of good one week, but then that inconsistency kicks in. Lomax has been solid, I will say. I think he's been pretty good. Yeah. And Benny Hunt, not too bad as well. Mate, can you have any of the Dragons?
Lomax
is Dragons.
Lomax is the only one.
Yeah.
For me. Jack Bird, you could argue, but I still think for his price, he's a fair risk. I think Lomax will be a top centre winger to finish the season. Obviously, with the goal kicking helps. I can't believe that Ramsey has held out one of the Fagai brothers for this long. He just gets absolutely ragdolled every time he takes it up. So I think Matty Fagai will add a lot more to him coming out of their own end, especially. But yeah, it'll probably be a tough one. I think the Dragons are probably a little bit better than what they showed last week against Your Blokes. Your Blokes, I think it was just too good. But I think this could be a bit more of a contest than people might first think. Terrell Sloan just doesn't have the base king. You're really going to rely on his attacking stats and whether it's scoring tries or whatever. He's just not that type of player. So you're going to take that punt with Sloan, but the ability to pick him at centre wing.
I think he's just a draft player, mate.
Yeah, I think his price is too awkward unless he drops some coin, at which point he's probably not going to be someone you want to bring in unless the draw's nice. Yeah, you're right. He's more of a draft guy. And then obviously on that Eels side of the park, you'll be looking at usual culprits. So, Brown, whether you want to bring him in again because he's still probably a viable option, a cheaper alternative to a Munster. I think a Monet is going to be a bit of an issue. I read something today. I didn't even really notice it watching the game, but he slides into hooker when they're in attack. Yeah. And in defence, he's defending out on the edge. So it's not giving him those opportunities that he might get a bit wider of the ruck and the ability to create some stuff, which is a bit of a shame. But, I think I'm going to have to get rid of a Monet pretty quickly. IPAP. Reid Marnie's on a bit of a downer, which is interesting. I don't know when he might bottom out, but yes, plenty of players with Supercoach relevance and some guys you should probably put on your watch list depending on how they go this week. And it should be an interesting one to finish the round because there'll probably be some people with a few players from this game.
Yep. Very cool. Oh, Bose, what? That's it?
No.
We've got results from last week.
Yeah, we have got the leagues. So, first up,
I'm winning.
First up is the group for the round, and it was Levi with Road to Reserve Grade, and he scored a 1300. It was actually tied, 1307. So Road to Reserve Grade Levi and the lads, Luke.
Well done, boys.
Yep. Followed by Haynes Sweaty Sack, Matty. Great name there. Nothing Grant Cant, Alex. He's been in there a couple of weeks, so he should be up there in the overall.
He's going all right overall.
Yeah. And Sai, I don't know if that's Sai from last year or not, but Sai, if it is, Sai's back with Nugget Runner, and he scored a 1269.
You could not mention Big Ted at 6 there.
I can. Big Ted at 6.
Yeah, he'll be in top in the leagues, mate.
Yeah. Shout out Big Teddy, good score, brother. Hope
Big
you're doing
Teddy,
well, mate.
well done, son.
Overall, still Swampies, Craig, with 3,000 odd, followed by Hubbers Hornets, Daniel, Trundle Sunflowers, Kurt. There's nothing Grant can't, and Unleashed Colonel Jonathan, with all in the 3,000s there. Well, everyone's in the 3,000s, let's say. Reverse order this week because I thought I'd.
Where was? Hang on, go back. Where was? Apparently, Matty was up there. What kind of warrior? Where is he?
Huh?
Matty's
Matty's
saying
Haynes Sweaty Ballsack. He's third overall or whatever.
Oh, okay. I can't fucking see shit
Yeah.
in this fucking image.
Matty, stop fucking confusing Hampton, mate. He finds it hard enough as it is.
Shout out, Matty. I think he's starting up his own something as well, King. What is he calling it? The Port Kennel Warrior?
Yeah, the Port Kennel Warrior. So he's going to obviously, we put the shout out there last week if you want to get some, sort of, what do we call it?
Sponsorships.
Or big league.
The kids doing footy.
Little league.
Oh, dude, we'll accept your seniors too, your pub leagues. Anything funny?
Any run it straights or anything like that?
Fucking Reggie's or whatever.
Yeah.
Definitely. But Matty's going to chuck something out there under the.
That's what we should do, King. Next time we get together, me and you do a run it straight into each other.
Me and you do a run it straight together.
You do one, and then I'll do one.
I'm in.
That'll be some viewing.
Hey, my shoulders can't fucking hold up after all the years.
I would love to cut you in half, motherfucker.
Mate, the 130 kilo behemoths running at each other. Hey, that is gold. King's Cup, we're doing it before.
That'll be some. When we get on the sauce, I reckon we'll make it happen.
So first up, Bogan Cup. Top scorer for the week was James with Kirko. He scored a 12.29, followed by Jed with the Savage Goons. I don't know if that's Jed from the chat or not.
I'll tell you what. Can we get the bloke that's number 1 and number 4? They can fuck off. They're the worst team names ever, boys. Fuck's sake. Come up with some fucking creativity, lads. Jesus.
Jetty just said something about goons in the chat. I think he called Amono a goon, so I'd be surprised if that's not Jed, but it could be a coincidence.
Yeah, well, Get the Spin, John. He came in third for the week. Robbo, Adam with Robbo, and then myself rounding out the top 5 in the Bogan Cup.
Oofed.
The Royal Rumble, or what's used to be referred to as the All-In. Bye, Chris, with 1319. Haynes Sweaty Sack, there's Matty. Chris with Bye isn't in the group.
Really?
Well, if Haynes Sweaty Sack was in the top 10.
Oh, overall, yeah.
So there you go, Chris. If you're watching, get in the group. The code's on the screen now. Followed by my arsehole, Cooper with a flat 1200.
I like it. Yeah, see, boys, there you go. Exactly right. Just a little bit of creativity, lads, and that's all you need. Coops, well done, mate. Well done, buddy.
A work of
send us in a photo, mate. We'll get you on next week as a guest star.
Jared with a work of Cardi, and myself again. I went head to head with Tristan Lime Milk and beat him in the updates. So bad luck there, Tristan with Lime Milk.
Jed, boom, that good.
And the BJ Cup, the Invitational, Big Ted up at the top.
There he is.
Followed by Climmy with Goulas Kebabs, Big Marty. Brent Hampton, you made top 5.
Oh, fuck.
Mate, you're 5th in every league.
What's this for?
That's a good average. This is the main league.
This is the invitation.
Where are you? I thought you scored. Right. I thought you scored more. Anyway.
I scored 1150 or something.
Oh, okay. You must have downdated. I'm in shock. I'm up that high.
So that's the...
Fucking Haas as a captain.
Oh, that's right.
On to the draft with the draft results.
Hampto's
Hitmen went down to Goulas Kebabs. Climmy sitting at the top of the ladder, a bit of a spoiler there, undefeated.
Well, hang on, he's auto drafted as well.
I've actually tried this year.
Bullshit,
draft, right?
You tried?
4 fucking drafts.
Half your team didn't play this week.
That's what I mean. Like, I tried, and then the cunts are still out. I just may as well not.
Because I absolutely fucking demolished you.
In saying that, in the podcasters one, Kano, in that one there, the main one that we're in with the podcast trying to beat all them other motherfuckers, Cleary's back this week, and you watch, I'll still get beat by 400 points. Fuck.
Shout out to Gullers. I think we gave an absolute rinsing for not being there for the draft, and he's now sitting on top and absolutely flying. So shout out Climmy and the kebabs.
I had an absolute cracker this week in draft. So top score out of everyone, and then was up against a team though where half the fucking players weren't there, so I didn't really need to score that much. Benny, he got up. Oh no, he went down to Kando. The Shockmasters went down to Shano, and Ted got up over Wayno, who is sitting very, very low there at the bottom of the ladders. Which takes us to the ladder. Once again, you got Climmy sitting at the top, undefeated. I'm sitting in second, probably on for and against now, but I'm sure that'll change very quickly.
Can we put a shout out to Wayno at Hell's Grannies? Is Wayno doing all right?
I'm not sure. I think his classic team's dwindling as well.
That's what I mean. Like Wayno's struggling a little bit on draft, and his classic team only scored about 750 odd this week. Guys, Wayno's been with us since day one. Season 2018 when we started the BJonGameDay show.
He's Premier.
So,
isn't he?
Wayno, mate. What's that?
Yeah, he is defending draft.
Yeah, just a shout out, Wayno. I hope you're doing all right, mate. Obviously Supercoaches and everything, and fucking being online and everything. It's a little bit apart from the real world. But mate, if you need a hand, if you anything's going on, mate, just let us know, because obviously we all want to have fun with this. We all take it a little bit serious, but it's all about the banter and that, mate. We want to get you back in, so let us know that you're doing all right, Wayno.
Yeah, 100%.
Benny sitting in third. I reckon Benny's gonna surge though. Big Ted and Big Ted and Kano are wrapping out the top 5. It is the top 5, isn't it, Breno? Or top 5?
Mate. Yeah, top 5. Yeah, top 5.
Yeah,
and that's the top 5 in the draft. Still early days though.
Got some work to do. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, another week of BJonGameDay. Kano can confirm King is 0-3. Mate, I am fucking owing everything in every fucking draft that there is. I
think you're even in 0-3 in one with two. Mutually,
I'm 0-3 and I drafted Turbo. I got number 1 spot. I drafted Turbo. I've killed him. Number 2 spot in podcasters. I've drafted Cleary. I fucking killed him. Boys, if you ever want to win a draft, just include me. You're at least 1 spot closer to winning the fucking thing, because I cannot draft to save my life. It is just a known fact.
You'll come good, mate. You'll come good. Keep at it. Come on.
Jesus, I'm fucking...
Fly that, especially in that podcasters one. Don't come last at least. Fucking hell.
No, I know, mate. I know. We got some form to turn around. All right, boys and girls.
Yep.
What do we got, Bugs? Anything else?
I was just going to see if there's anything from the chat, but it doesn't seem like it. So.
The lads are finished for the night as well. Everyone wants to go to bed.
Fair call.
All right, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, guys. Make sure you click that. Give us a share. We're up to 562 subscribers, a long way from the 1,000 that we're really chasing. But, guys, anyone and everyone helps. If we can get a share and a post out on Facebook or something, it'd be absolutely amazing. Shit, get your mum to follow, get your dog to follow. I don't give a fuck who follows. Yep. Get a subscribe. Go and create 6 fake accounts.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We can get banned for saying that.
Okay, don't do that.
Yep.
What the fuck? Who's listening to us after an hour and a half anyway?
No. Well, it's 2 hours, and then YouTube doesn't review anymore. So if you really want to get blue, you need to make the show go for 2.5 hours. Then you can have half an hour of saying whatever you want.
Cigarette. All right, boys.
Shout out everyone for joining us as always. These legends. Fire in the chat. Good luck this week. Supercoach, Gods be kind, and we'll see you all next week.